Eyup cock, welcome back. This is the EFL review where we go over the Championship and League One's results from this weekend's games. First up, we're going to touch on the Friday night game first quickly, which were Middlesbrough versus West Brom. Now, Middlesbrough, we'll come and look at the table at the end of the Championship segment. Middlesbrough obviously top at league. Did I look at this and think it were a side that warranted being top at league? No, to be completely honest. I didn't think there were loads and loads of quality on show. I did get score right in the predictions vid that I did earlier this week. But did I think that this were a top class with quality from both sides as well, not just to pick on Middlesbrough, but with both sides? Not really. I thought Middlesbrough were best side in first half, and then second, West Brom did put it on them a little bit more. But the second goal for Middlesbrough just summed them up, really. They didn't offer a great deal for the majority of the game. The football for that second goal were quality, and I've banged on about this for so long now. I've said it about so many different teams. It's sign of a very good side if you do not play that cracking and you still win. Other games, I've not watched them all. I've only seen highlights of Middlesbrough. This is the first time I've watched them in a full 90. I didn't think it were overly impressive, but I was impressed that they've got 3 points out of it against a good side in West Brom. And ultimately, that is all that matters. Rob Edwards has a fantastic start. I've said it multiple videos in a row now, but I've got to put my hands up because I didn't think it were going to start this well, or Middlesbrough would start this well. But in what looks like quite an even, level playing field of a division, Middlesbrough are lonely at the top. Top of division, 5 wins and a draw in 6 games. Fantastic start. And West Brom are no mugs as well. So, really good win. Now, this one did surprise me. Not going to lie, Sheffield United 0, Charlton 1. It was in the 90th minute from Alafe. And by all accounts, Charlton could have had a couple other goals as well. It's not the homecoming. I know he's only been gone 5 minutes. It's only like he's gone to shop and back. But it's not the homecoming that I think a lot of people sort of expected for Wilder. Godfrey got man at match, but by all accounts, from what I've been told, it weren't that cracking again. They do look quite void of ideas, again, from the bits that I've been told and the bits that I've seen. A couple of the Sheffield United fans I know are genuinely thinking that they might struggle. Like, genuinely. Not even satire anymore. There's 6 games in, 6 losses, 1 goal. It's not just something that you can flick a switch with and immediately start winning loads of games just because you've got Wilder back. Wilder himself has come out in an interview after the game and said that the players look quite damaged. They're obviously just shot for confidence, aren't they? And not surprising when every single competitive game this season they've played in all comps they've lost. Not to take anything away from Charlton, because even though this is the second win at season in 6 games, which again ain't even that bad for a side that's just come up, they're a very well-drilled side. They like to make it horrible for you anyway. It's just what Nathan Jones is. They did offer quite a bit going forward. It looked like they could have had a couple more goals. It's obviously not panic stations yet. You know what I mean? It's been 6 games. So everybody just take a chill pill. Just calm your send down. I don't think Sheffield United are truly going to be in any sort of relegation battle. But Oxford away, I believe, next game, we're second bottom as of right now. Yeah. There's quite a lot of pressure on a side that everybody thought were going to be near top. There's quite a lot of pressure to pick up points early doers, or you're going to get left behind bottom at league. Very tricky start for them. I do think they will turn it round. But Charlton, they've only conceded 5 goals in 6 games for a reason. They are a tricky side to break down. They've carried that on from last season anyway. Well drilled, defensively quite solid. Not a bad team, Charlton are, but Sheffield United 0 from 6. Quite worrying. Birmingham 1, Swansea 0. Another one that I got bob on. It was, actually, let me show you this first. It was a 94th minute winner from Dykes. Now, I think he's crap. Seriously, across a full 90, I do think he's a crap striker for Championship. But with the personnel that Birmingham have actually got, like a Deutsch, I've not seen him in a full 90 yet, but like Stansfield, Kumas, Gray, even Kyogo, some of these other attacking options that Birmingham have got are quite small, technical players. Can they, if Swansea are making it difficult for them, can they play lumpet football and just spam balls into the box and rely on headers and holding up play and stuff like that? Can they do that with the players that they've got in the starting 11? Probably not. To be fair, I can't put this Duck fella up front in that sort of category because I've not seen him yet. But the other profiles of players, no. Dykes, even though some of the other players that they've got rid of I think are better than him, Dykes is a completely different profile to anything that Birmingham have got. You can bring him on in 87th minute. I think they did it against Blackburn as well and he scored, like late on. You can bring this type of striker on who's going to be going up against tired legs anyway and proper just lean on him, put all your body weight on him, be physical with defenders that don't really want it at 94th minute. And he's got a good header. Like, it's good squad management because I wouldn't have done it, which explains why I'm sat making videos in my bedroom and not a manager or someone that makes important decisions at a big football club. But it's an impressive win because I do not think Swansea are a bad side at all. This is more like it as well, like stats. I expect Birmingham at their place to be more on front foot than majority of teams anyway. I don't think they'll lose many games at home, if any. But it's a good win after back-to-back losses for Birmingham. 1-0. And again, Swansea, not a bad side at all. The 10th after that loss. So, no mugs again. QPR and Stoke, really good finish. First off, Harvey Vale, really good finish. But guess who I'm going to pick out from the highlights that I've seen? Just guess. He stood up front for QPR How he has not come away with this, with any sort of goal contribution, I don't know. He set 2 sitters up, and this is just from highlights that EFL goals shows. And it looked like he played a screamer a ball across for Burrell. I don't know how he ended up saving that, to be fair. Johansson is a very good keeper. But Kone should have had an assist for that. He should have had an assist for another one. His general play, Kone, is outstanding. He's such a good striker, and I'm going to bang this drum until the cows come home, baby. Until the fat lady's singing every cliche you want. He's such a good striker. And it looked like it could have been a couple more. Like, QPR's keeper made one good save, I believe, from the bits that it showed. But Johansson stood out quite a bit for Stoke. He made some really important saves. QPR, 3 wins on bounce. Again, not a bad side at all. Could be a bit of an outsider, because I always think they will score goals, always, with the attacking threat that they've got. Slight worry defensively, but 3 wins on bounce. It's put to bed that 7-1 against Coventry. They've bounced back from that better than probably anybody in the world thought they could. Really impressive win. Stoke are still second at table. I'm recording this before Bristol City Oxford, by the way. But Stoke are still second. It's only the second loss at season so far. But QPR are a good team. They have a good team. Blackburn and Ipswich. Now, this has been abandoned due to rain. It was in the 70-something minute. It doesn't actually show me. He got a yellow card, keeper rating 75th. I think it was pushing 80th. Now, I don't know if this gets replayed or what crack is. I saw Blackburn's tweet after game, and they were saying that effectively an independent EFL panel will decide if it gets sent to a replay or anything. I don't think that is fair at all. Ipswich have got 10 men, the 1-0 up, and there's 10 minutes left at home. If they have to replay that game, I think it's pathetic, really. Obviously, I'm a Barnsley fan, and I remember when I was growing up, I think we went to Plymouth or something away, and we were winning 4-1. Something ridiculous, like we were smashing them to bits. It got called off in 70th. Game got replayed, even though we were 4-1 up. We were well clear of a win. We went down at replay and got battered. I don't know. But anyway, Greaves, I think that is definitely a red card from the bit that I saw. I think that penalty was slightly harsh, but it only showed one replay. So it didn't give me much choice or much room for an opinion when it only showed one replay of it. But I thought it was quite harsh, that. But Blackburn were well on top, as you'd expect. Even before red card, it was still quite 50-50. Second, it were all Blackburn. I don't see how you can really make this be replayed when Blackburn were well on top and were just coasting to a win. I think it'd be genuinely ridiculous if it did go to that. But Blackburn right now, this would be the second win in a row if it actually gives it to them. And it'll put them up into 10th. So they'll be well away from any sort of danger after quite a mixed start and a really awful transfer window. Ismail's a great manager. Honestly, even with limited budget that he's had at Barnsley before, is a good manager for a smaller, weaker budgeting side. Ipswich, I did think had turned the fortunes round after slapping Sheffield United up, but clearly not. Because, like I said, even before red card, it was quite 50-50, and then Blackburn really put foot on it second half. It would be a good win if it is a win for Blackburn, like a really good one. And like I've said, if that gets replayed, it's just embarrassing, isn't it, really, that it's even a conversation. Derby and Preston. Again, absolute scream. I just want to put that one out there quickly. Preston have had a fantastic start. Really good defensive side. Like, I would cliche that with Derby normally, but obviously this season that has not been the case. And quite a mixed bag in terms of performances recently. Try and ignore that one because it's in Cup. But they lost away at Portsmouth, which many sides do. I know we'll talk about one that hadn't done that. But many sides do go to Portsmouth and lose anyway. Middlesbrough top of league, so Desmond there's not bad. And then Derby, it's not an easy game. Despite being fourth bottom right now, there's no easy games in this league. And I think I'm just going to make a sweeping comment now with Championship and League One, the two that I focus on most. Everything's quite level. There are no serious standouts, top or bottom of them divisions, apart from Wednesday in Championship, who will get relegated. There is no one, to me, that is standing out like a Birmingham in League One last season or a Leeds and Burnley 100 points each last season in Championship. There is no one like that. There is no one that I think is going to get relegated 15 points adrift apart from Wednesday. So I think every league is just quite level. So if you can go and get any win away from home, any team, so early on in the season when there's no like clear standouts yet, it's really impressive. Preston are 5th at minute. They've had such a good start. Again, complete club reset. They got rid of so many lads, brought so many in. And I'm not personally his biggest fan, even though he's a Barnsley fan, Eke. But he don't get the credit that he deserves as a manager. I think he's a very talented one. With the recent clubs that he's had, he took Sheffield United up without spending much brass. And he's proving it again here. I think he's a great manager. It's a really impressive win. I do think the road are looking at second half because Derby just couldn't find clinical edge, could they, with like the amount of shots that they're having towards end. Or on the highlights, it showed quite a lot in second half that they were having. No, clearly not. But it just didn't look like it was going their way, Derby, anyway. But it's a really impressive win for Preston. Takes them up to 5th, like I've said. Derby are 4th bottom, but Eustace in charge once he's got a grip for him and he knows his best team. And once, more importantly, once the injuries sort of come back from the defensive side of things, because that's where they're struggling, they'll be well away from it anyway. They're a half decent side, Derby are. But Preston Proving a lot of people wrong. Good team. Hull and Southampton. I said it on the last video that I did, that if you can play to your striker strengths, which Hull are doing, you are going to score so many goals. So many goals. He's got 3 goals and 3 assists in 6 games, McBurney. If you play to this man's strengths, it's such a good pickup. So is the Lundstrom one. That came from McBurney anyway with lay across for header. First goal were quite nice. And he scores again. He's such a good striker for this league. I think, you know what? Sheffield United really dropped a bollock here. They really did. Because if they'd have kept Wilder on, I don't think Moore would have left for a start. I think they'd have gone back for McBurney properly. I know that apparently they went for him anyway, but they weren't offering the play time that Hull would have. But I think if Wilder was there, it could have probably brought him in anyway. Like, even without the guarantee of as many minutes that Hull had given him, I think the Wilder aspect could have pulled him in. And they would not be bottom at league, Sheffield, if they still had more of McBurney there. They would score a lot of goals. It's got to be said as well, good finish from Armstrong. I know it went 95th minute and it ended up meaning note, but it was a good finish. They've just not got going, have they? They're 19th Southampton. They've only got 1 win. I do think it is hard when you come down as one of the worst sides ever from Premier League to then just immediately bring a new manager in and think that everything's going to be dandy, sunshine and rainbows and lot. They've sold a lot of the best players. There's not loads of overwhelming quality there from what you'd expect from a side that has come down and made that much money on player sales. Like, Azaz is alright, Fellows is good, Charles, Howard, Bellis, the defence looks okay, but I'm not overly convinced on them going straight down middle, like top end of pitch. And they've scored 7 in 6 games, so it's not the most lightning start ever. I do think it will take time for someone like Southampton to get going, really. Same as Ipswich, they're in 17th. Leicester are one that I didn't think would start well at all, and they're up in 4th. But it's a work in progress when you've got a new manager and you're coming down with such a negative attitude, really, once you've been tonked every week, and then you expect to just immediately dominate every game. It's a tough league to get out of this now. It really is. It's like I said, it's quite a level playing field. Hull, who a lot of people had tipped for relegation, are up in 13th, so it's not easy to predict. But that is an outstanding win for Hull. And if they keep playing to strengths of their striker, which a lot of teams just don't do for some reason, you will score goals. Hull, bob on. Really impressive win. Southampton, I do think will start turning it around soon. Same as I said about Port Vale in League One. I do think Southampton, the core principles are sort of there and the foundations are there to be a good team. I just think they need a little bit of luck or a favourable fixture or something coming up soon to really start and propel the season. But they're not quite there yet. Norwich 2, Wrexham 3. Now, I didn't see this one at all. Really poor goalkeeping for, well, defending/goalkeeping. He got through Stacey really easily. Defence were miles off on that first one. And then it were a goalkeeper mistake there from Okonkwo for that one. But other than that, they didn't create loads and loads from the bits that I saw anyway. Obviously, the stats are telling a different picture. Obviously, again, I'm only seeing highlights of these games. So I'm obviously not going to sit there and watch full 90 every game. Or I'd be filming them on Wednesday, these videos. From the bits that I saw, Wrexham did look the better side. Obviously, if I go and look at the team, Sargent didn't really have much luck going his way. There weren't a lot of service, to be fair, from the bits that I saw again. But if you play to your striker strengths and you play to your team strengths, which Wrexham do quite well, I think, again, they are quite a simple football team. I don't think they do all extravagant, but they've got some very talented players now. So you expect a lot of goals from this Wrexham team. I do think they have saved his job, Parky, with this, because if they'd have lost, I really think they'd have been in a lot of trouble. But they're going up to 15th now. They're out at way. I don't know why he's got armband on, and I hope he don't see this, Windass, because I don't want to give him any credit ever. But he's a good footballer. Always a top player for this division. First half, he hit post with a screamer. That were unlucky. It could have come out with an hat-trick. Second one's a good finish. Third one's another thunder bastard. Very good player. Oh my God. Portsmouth 0. Sheffield Wednesday 2. You know what? I was watching Goals Show thing for Saturday 3 o'clockers because Barnsley played at AF12. And when I was watching this, Bannon scored a free kick. And the commentators, they're saying, he's a dead ball specialist. He's one of the best passers world's ever seen. He's such a fantastic footballer. I think that's his 4th free kick goal ever for Wednesday, and he's been there since 1800s. They come out with more football cliches, these commentators, than I do. What I will say though, this fella apparently is just like a proper old school number 9, quite a big fella, quite strong, quite fast. The manner of the goal were ridiculous because I believe it were Rich Shaughnessy, maybe. White defenders for Portsmouth just running back, like trotting back, just picking up a long ball from Wednesday to start a Portsmouth attack again. And he just pulls up. He's definitely done something with his hammy because he pulled up straight away. Couldn't even walk to get to the ball. And then obviously this Brown's done what a footballer should do. Anybody that thinks that you should put that ball out is ridiculous. You've got a chance to go through on goal. Club's in crisis. You need the points desperately. He did right thing, 100%. And to be fair, I know I've got Portsmouth down for a 2-0 win here and it went other way. But I did say in vid that it wouldn't surprise me at all if Wednesday did win this, because I think they do better when there is zero expectation at all. Nobody will have said a Wednesday win today. Nobody. Portsmouth are extremely good at home. They've had a really good start. A win from this game would have put them into top 6. I think everybody sort of looked at this and said, yeah, Portsmouth will win. They're the sort of games, like the Leicester away one, I thought Wednesday were quite good. But the home games where people are looking at them thinking, you could maybe get something there. They've been tunked in them all. So when there's no expectation, which majority away games is going to be for them, I think that's where they'll pick up the points, if any. Which is where they have. In the 6 games so far, they've got a draw away at Wrexham, who are good at home as well, and Portsmouth away, who are good at home. So not overly surprised, really, which is daft to say I've got a Portsmouth win and kill it with man at match, which is even more ridiculous. But Wednesday are obviously still going to go down. Let's not take piss. We can still laugh at them all year. It'd be even funnier if it's a Sheffield double. But really impressive win, gotta be said. Really nice win. And then Leicester 0-0 with Coventry, don't care. Looking at the table, Sheffield United are bottom of the league. Still, they are 6 games in, 6 losses, only 1 goal. Absolutely awful. Even the grandfather Wilder can't come back for his 15th spell and make you immediately win games. I do think they will be fine, but I can understand concerns, especially when you've got Oxford away next week, or we're second bottom right now, but this is before they've played Bristol City on Sunday. But if they go to Oxford and lose Sheffield United, and the 0 from 7, then I could really start to understand the concerns, because there will be a serious gap between them and 4th bottom. I don't think anybody thought that. Yeah, I can't comment on Oxford because they've not played yet. Wednesday win, but are still in bottom 3. I don't think they will get out all year, to be honest. And then Derby, 4th bottom. Watford playing Millwall on Monday night, so we can't comment on that one either. Blackburn and Ipswich, it's showing as 5 each that they've played games because the game were obviously postponed. That should be a win to Blackburn, but with incompetence at EFL, who truly knows. Moving up division, really impressive wins for Wrexham, Hull, Charlton, and QPR to make it 3 in a row now. Top 6 has some movers. Obviously, Coventry is still in there with a point. Preston moving to 5th with a win. Leicester still in 4th. Bristol City, obviously, game in hand at time of recording this against Oxford. You'd think they'd win that, though, really, which would put them in 2nd. But as of right now, Stoke, despite the loss, are still 2nd in league. And Middlesbrough, lonely at the top, 4 points clear of 2nd right now. 5 wins and a draw in 6 games. Top of the division, the Borough. Right, let's get into this shit league. Blackpool 1, Barnsley 0. Right, now I've calmed down a bit. Obviously, because I did a watch on for this, because I didn't go, because I had other commitments on it there. When I've taken a chill pill, because my head were actually steaming in that second half. We played so well in first half, playing total football effectively. We're better side by an absolute mile, dominated it start to finish. McGoldrick missed a sitter, Dunn missed 2 that he should have normally scored. We should have had a penalty and Blackpool should have been down to 10 men after 10 minutes, but ref shit his pants as normal. And then we come out in second half and did the complete polar opposite. We started lumping ball up front to nobody that come in and header. It will wet through anyway, so as soon as it bounces, it's just going out for a throw-in every single time. It made no sense why we did it, but for full half, we played absolutely dog shit. Did Blackpool deserve a win? On second half basis, yeah, because they were better side by a mile in second half. But we should have been out of sight by half time, and we weren't. Obviously, we are 8 games in, us, and we've got 2 points a game on average. Carry that on for a full season, we gain 90. So, big picture, I'm still happy. I'm really happy with how this season has started. It just feels frustrating knowing that we could and should have won after that first half performance, and the manner of how we lost is even more annoying. But Orient is not like the other managers that we've had in the last couple of years. I think players take accountability now. They seriously look hurt after the bits that I've seen from post-match game. Obviously, we've got Brighton in Cup on Tuesday, which is a very tough game. But I'd expect him to have a rocket up their arse on Saturday for Port Vale at home to put stuff right, which I think this group of players and manager is different to the ones previously. So, well done, Blackpool. Honestly, did they deserve it? Probably not, but you know what I mean? That's football, innit? If it went that way every time, it'd be a boring game. It keeps Bruce's job. It gives Blackpool points that they need, really, to start trying to get out at bottom 4, because they're still in there as of right now. They are 22nd. But football's football. Fair's fair. Blackpool win 1-0 against Barnsley. We still win it league. Bolton 4, Wigan 1. Oh, God. Right, that's more like it. I'm going to click the stats button. That's exactly what I expect. It's the same every week. This is not a new thing for Bolton. Every game probably they've played so far, the stats look like this. They have more expected goals, more possession, more shots on target, more big chances, more everything. They dominate the majority of games. They are one of the best teams in this division, regardless of being 10th for not having best points tally so far. Comfortably one of the biggest threats to automatics in this division. They are so good going forward. The wingers are electric. I think Burstow, to be fair, I didn't really think he was going to have as good a start as he has, but he's on 5 in 9. Really good finish from him as well. They do look the real deal going forward, Bolton. Force has scored twice. That's more like it. And again, what you expect from a player of that quality. But that front 4 and the midfield, to be fair, is top standard for this division. Wigan, the defending, were an absolute clown show for 4th one. But for a side that's been there so many times recently and had bragging rights for ages on the biggest rivals, yeah, it hurts, and they're in 12th now. But I don't think there's any shame in losing to this Bolton team. I know they've only won 3 games in 9, but that tally will have 20 more on it by the time season's done. These will win a lot of games. They are a very good side, and I think Wigan, realistically, I don't think they're a top threat to promotion. There could maybe be an outside chance at playoffs, maybe, but I don't think so. In comparison to the real top dogs, from my perspective for this league, Bolton are one of them. And I'll tell you what, maybe it's time we start considering these another one. Lincoln 3, Luton 1. Lincoln, so far, they are 3rd in table. They've lost once. They've won 5 games. I mean, they've not lost in a while now because the loss were right near start. Like, the form is incredible. They consistently score quite a lot of goals. They just looked really good. The goals, to be fair, were quite good quality. I do think the defending at parts from Luton were quite crap. Jordan Clark's just inevitable. You could bring any fancy name in the world, and Jordan Clark is still one of the biggest goal threats that they've got, and he's just part of furniture now. But Lincoln are a good team. I've said it before, the defence I'm really impressed with. Like, the personnel that are sort of in there. They've got a lot of experience at top and bottom of this pitch. Just throughout it, it's just quite a good team. There's not many assets in there that you'd think, oh, he's going to go for a lot of money, that lad. They've not got them type of players, but they've got the experience and the know-how and just the general quality. Despite being at probably an older age, they've got quite an experienced team age-wise compared to some others. But that's what you want, the 3rd in league. So who cares? For a side like Lincoln, if you have a good player that's younger, like that fellow who's gone to Norwich, they're going to get nicked immediately because they can't pay the wages or offer like the promotion threat to players that other bigger sides can. So this is the sort of route that you've got to go down if you're one of the smaller teams in here that wants to try and propel himself forward and develop and go forward as a football club. You've got to have a team like this. And I think they're doing really well. They're 3rd in league for a reason. They've had a great start. Luton, I mean, they're down in 11th. Points-wise, they're not actually a million miles off. I know they've only played 8 games, so you can't really be that far, can you, after that many games? But I don't think they're that far off points tally-wise. They're reminding me of Huddersfield as a side that hasn't started that well footballing-wise in terms of what you expect. But the points, they're still in line with a lot of the other sides that you'd sort of expect to be up there. So they're not too far away yet with the need to make a rash decision. But I feel like the football that they're playing needs to improve drastically. Or Bloomfield, who is a very good manager, by the way, I think he'll be looking over his shoulder a little bit. But a really impressive win for Lincoln nonetheless. 3-1 win, puts them up to 3rd. But in probably the most important game at weekend in these two divisions, Cardiff and Bradford played each other. They were top 2 before the game started. Cardiff were top at league. They'd not lost a game. They'd not conceded a goal that wasn't a penalty. And here they are now, losing 3-1 at home to newly promoted Bradford, who are now top at division. And I'll tell you what, the good value for it and all. The bits that I saw, there could have been a lot more goals in this, but it's for both teams. We can't just sit here and say, well, Cardiff should have won 5-1, or Bradford could have won 6-2, or something like that, because there could have been so many goals in this from both sides. They both offered quite a lot going forward. Defensively, I don't think any of them were doused in much glory, but that's a screamer. I think Sarkovic had a very good game. I know he scored a penalty, and it was stupid challenge and all from Osho. That were ridiculous. That is the stupidest. When do you ever go to ground in box anyway? Never mind when it's pissing it down and you're going to slide from one end of box to other. Why would you do that? But he had an outstanding game. Like I said, Bradford, well, both of them could have scored more goals, but Bradford especially from the bits that I saw. And like I said, I think they're very good value for it. When you look at the teams that they've actually played and beaten so far, and I've gone over this before as well, but Wycombe, who were at playoffs last season, Blackburn at Championship, Luton at favourite for division, Stockport away, who didn't lose many games at all last season, Stoke were in Championship, Huddersfield won at favourites for division, Cardiff, who were top at league and hadn't conceded a goal from open play, and they're winning all them games. They've had a very hard start. We're past the point now with Bradford of looking at them as a club that's come up from League 2 with momentum, and they're carrying that through, and they're just going game at a time. Yeah, they're chipping away, but they'll fall off eventually. It's just a purple patch. We're past that now. We've got to start looking at these as a top contender for this division, because the actual personnel that they've got, I don't look at with awe. I'm not looking at it and thinking, wow, that's such a good team. Look at some of them players. But they're such a good team. Everybody knows the job. They create very good chances. They defend quite well most at time as a unit. They are just they're a top side. They are a contender for promotion. They're a definite contender for top 6 now, 1,000,000%. From the Cardiff side of things, there's not obviously too much to worry about. I didn't think they'd had the hardest start anyway, and this is one of the biggest tests that they've had so far, really, apart from the Stockport one. I have said for a bit that I think the youth of Cardiff could get take it to cleaners a little bit with more experienced sides, which Bradford obviously are. When you look at the age of these two teams, you're looking at this. But yeah, I don't think it's a case of Cardiff being bad. I think it's just Bradford are a good side, and that's that. Top at league, Bradford, after 9 games. Cardiff, obviously, they've still got a game in hand on 2 of the top 3 in Lincoln and Bradford. The 4th, they've had a very good start. The Tech 17 points after 8 games, definitely. Donny 1, Wimbledon 2. I said these are a good side. I did say these are a good side. I know I also said that Donny would win, but I did say that Wimbledon are a good side. Owen Bailey scores again. I don't know why he's their biggest goal threat as a more defensive-minded player, but anyway, good finish from that lad. To be fair, all 3 of them were quite good goals. I know that I think it were a corner. It was definitely an header. But all 3 of them were quite decent finishes. There were not scrappy about them goals that I saw. Stats-wise, fairly even in terms of possession and shots, but Wimbledon had the better chances. They had 2-1. They had 4 shots to 1. It is back-to-back losses now for Donny. Wimbledon 3 in a row, though. They are a good team. Again, it's one of them, same as Championship. I think the league is just quite level as a whole. I know Bradford are top, and I'm just like giving them a lot of the flowers. But there are no humongous standouts at top or bottom now of this division, from my perspective, where I think they're defo going down or they're defo going up, apart from Barnsley. It's a really good win for Wimbledon, and it just further rifles it into my brain. Not one of the 4 that have come up are going down. Not one of them. Bradford and Donny, especially Bradford, look like a threat at top 6. Wimbledon are in 9th. Port Vale we're going to come on to, well, next. We'll just do it now. Port Vale have won twice in a row now, which I call both of them, by the way, because these are a good team. The points tally was so false. They were inevitably going to start winning a couple of games. The Cole addition is fantastic because he scored again. I think he's on 3-3 now. Yeah, he is. 3 goals and an assist in 3 games. It's just him to a T, that. There's absolutely no in Championship, and then he's best striker in League One. They were quite fortunate, though. This Sweeney got a straight red. Again, I do think it was one for Mansfield. I wouldn't be too worried if I were a Mansfield fan as well. I know they're in a bit of a tricky patch now. They've not won in 4 games. But ultimately, there are a lot of teams that I think are worse than them, going across a full season span. But like I said, Port Vale have won the last 2, and they're good value for it as well. They've got Barnsley away next, and I know Cole's going to score, the little bastard. But Bradford, Donny, Wimbledon and Port Vale, not one of them is getting relegated. I think it's the best clump of League 2 teams as a collective probably ever. Plymouth 0, Peterborough 1. Well, I've given Peterborough a load of hammer for quite a bit now. I said I think they'll be bottom at league, which they did look absolutely dog shit. But I also have said in the last few weeks that the performances, despite still being quite poor, I think I was saying this around here from the Exeter one, the Exeter compared to the Huddersfield and then into this one, they were getting better, definitely. I still think they are very weak in many different positions and definitely rode the luck in this game, because from the highlights it showed that Plymouth could have scored a fair few, especially later on in half. 19 shots. But realistically, the only stat that matters is this one. It is an impressive win for Peterborough. The back-to-back now for the first time in chuffing ages. Especially against Plymouth, who looked like they'd start to turn a page a bit. They'd won the last 3 in all comps, obviously, before it's Peterborough won. And that's against Stockport and Luton, who, again, people look at as 2 of the better sides in this league. This Garbett, I've been told, is the bee's knees, apparently. That midfield 3 don't look that bad. Like Garbett, Collins and Keeler in the... Were it Walsall? I can't remember, but they were Birmingham lad, weren't it, from their academy. That midfield 3 looks good. Everything surrounding it, I'm not overly convinced on, as of yet. But if they are going to stay up, I think this 3 is going to drag them to it. But like I said, really impressive win. They moved from bottom to 3rd bottom now, Peterborough, with 2 wins in the last 2 games. And Plymouth, despite looking like they'd found a bit of consistency, back to another loss at home against a poor side. Not good. Reading 2, Leyton Orient 1. Jack Marriott goal. I don't know how that's trickled in from that far out. It's really poor from keeper, I'm not going to lie. El Mazzuni scored quite a nice goal. And then Fraser wins it for him in the 79th minute. I'm surprised with this. It's got to be said I'm surprised, because I think they looked crap against Reading. And Leyton Orient did look like the better side from highlights as well. Dominated all at possession. I do sort of think this is a delaying inevitable. I do think Reading do look quite poor. And they've won 2 out of the last 3 games as well. It's got to be said. They bet Port Vale and Leyton Orient both at home, and then lost to Barnsley away. But I just think they look quite poor in the general play. And I do think it will catch up with them eventually. At some point this season, I do see Hunt getting sacked as Reading manager. But Leyton Orient, for all the money that they've spent, you know, and the decent players that they've brought in, like these 3 all look really solid. And El Mazzuni is a new player as well. I know he's a new old player, like a Wilder, but he's still the record signing for this season. And it's just not been working that well yet. They've not found their feet properly, Leyton Orient. They're not consistent enough. They've only won 3 out of 9 games. And they score a lot of goals, but defensively there's definitely issues there. But that is a good win. And again, I've said it about Leyton Orient's front line, to be fair. Paddy Lane, Marriott, Lewis wing at middle, They've got some goal threat as well, Reading have, but they've only scored 9 and 8. Here we go. Rotherham 0, Stockport 1. I got that one bang on as well. Stockport just are a better side than Rotherham. It's so glaringly obvious. Rotherham are now into bottom 4. They are 21st after 3 losses in the last 4 games. And only a 1-0 win at home to Exeter in that as well, where they sat back for about half an hour as well. I'm telling you, the psychological side of things, they're not good at football anyway, Rotherham. Just focus on that for a second. They are crap at football. The players, the personnel, I don't think are good. Like, at all. But even if you take that away, and I've watched Barnsley all my life, stereotypically, we are a side that finishes 4th, 5th bottom in Championship. I've watched us have crap teams for years and years, but one thing that always kept us up when I was growing up was that they'd run hard. They'd try really hard. They were good in air. They were fairly decent defensively as a unit. Rotherham are just mentally shot. They offer nothing. Defensively, I think they do look okay if decent, in fairness. But that's just because they sit back all the time. It's not so much that you're putting extra yards in it. It's not like your wingers and your forwards are getting back and putting some graft in. They're just offering nothing going forward, ever. This is a thing in so many of the games that the stats look like this. They have barely any shots. They have barely any possession. Even in the win that they've had in the last 4 games, which are against Exeter, who are one of the weakest sides in this division by a mile, they went 1-0 up and sat back. At home to Exeter. I just think the mentality side of things is horrendous from Rotherham. They look so poor. Stockport are a half-decent side. I do think they'll be in and around this conversation at top. But they've not even got out of first gear, really. I think they've strolled to this. They've not exactly dominated possession, but they've had all shots, all expected goals, shots on target, big chances. Everything's with Stockport. They are losing all the games away, Rotherham, but it's the first loss that they've actually had at home. But they've not played anybody yet, either. That's the thing with Rotherham. I don't think they've played anybody. I'm worried that this side is getting relegated if they don't sack Amshaw. And I know he's a Rotherham man and they all like him, and that makes it an even harder decision. But I think these are sleepwalking towards relegation, me. Rotherham 0, Stockport 1. Stevenage, they've won again. These are second in league with a game in hand. Yep, 8 games, 6 wins, 1 draw, 1 loss, 19 points after 8 games. That is a serious average points. That is a top standard side. But I could say this, actually, about the Stevenage and Rotherham comparison. There are currently 19 places separating them and 12 points after 8 games separating Stevenage and Rotherham. When I look at the personnel within this team, I don't look at it and think, that is top draw. I don't look at the stats and think, they dominate a lot of games. But it is so clear when you actually see little bits from Stevenage, they are busting a gut consistently. They are so well structured defensively that they can still offer enough going forward because they scored 12 goals, which is double that of Rotherham. But then also if they need to, they can sit back and see games out. Whereas Rotherham cannot do that. Stevenage are a well-drilled side. I think, again, quite similar to Bradford, they're definitely a very good team instead of very good individuals. But yeah, Exeter I do worry about. I've said it for ages. They've lost 4 in the last 5 games. I do think they are a poor team. But another good win for Stevenage. Any win's good. Wycombe 2, Northampton 0. I want you to look at the prediction above my head and forget about it, right? Because when I filmed it, they had Dodds in charge. If they would have had Michael Duff, I would have given him a win at the time of me recording that. So that's not fair. I'm not taking any accountability for that. Obviously, speaking about Michael Duff, we'll just get stats up on screen while I'm doing it. He's promised you attacking football, which I half agree with from when he were at Barnsley. But what he also didn't promise you is that if you go 1-0 down, you will lose game. I do think it's one way of playing and that's almost it. And it can be slightly passive at times. But Wycombe needed this. They needed to sack Dodds because he's horrendous. And I do think in grand scheme of things, getting a manager like Michael Duff at Wycombe is a really impressive pull. And I won't be too confident on him staying long term because if he gets a job closer to home, you best believe he's taking it, lads. But for Wycombe, I think it's a really good fit. But it's a good decision. It's a good appointment. It's a good manager for this division. Nice going. Good win. 2-0 at home to Northampton. Like I said, they won 3 in a row, Northampton. They're no mugs. They've not conceded in 3 games before this. So, I know you've got the bounce as well, Wycombe, but it's a good win. And then Huddersfield, Burton, 0-0, don't care. Right, let's look at the table. Burton are bottom of the league despite that draw with Huddersfield. They have played 2 games less than other people because they had a game called off or postponed, I believe, for the Rotherham one. It was. Peterborough, like I said, they've won 2 in a row, so they pushed themselves up to second bottom. Blackpool win against Barnsley as well, despite being crap. Rotherham, I think, are in danger. Same as Reading, to be fair, despite 2 wins and 3. And I think Port Vale, I do think they will struggle next week away at Barnsley because we are a good side. But other than that, I think they will start pulling away quite soon. They're a good team, Port Vale are. Another impressive win for Wycombe, and then it's just load of red all the way up here. Bolton, more like it. Good win. Same for Wimbledon and Stockport. Doncaster, Barnsley, Huddersfield and Cardiff all drop points, but Cardiff, Huddersfield and Barnsley remain in top 6 still. Lincoln up into 3rd with a win against Luton. Stevenage up into 2nd with a game in hand after a win against Exeter, but top of the division in League One after 9 games and a really hard start is Bradford. They've been pecked. Right, boys, pleasure. Okay, so make sure you like and subscribe if you do enjoy. Thank you very much for watching, boys and girls. Love you all, and I'll see you in a bit. Goodbye.
I say I'm a man, yes, I'm a mucker. I think of me saying as a right good looker. I say up that. Show us bit it.